Radio.
Want to fix the exposure one more time?
I don't know what that means. Radio. Radio. Radioing. Radio. Doing radio. Radio. We're getting? Are we ready? Are we on?
Yep.
We're on the air right now.
We should be.
Okay, all right. Hey, everybody, welcome again to the internet's not nearly at all most favorite Facebook Live show. 3 to 5 things we didn't have time to talk about today. I am your host, the moderately talented and snaggle-toothed Fred Kennedy guy. First things first, bring up the picture of the Pornhub goggles. Look at that right there. Pornhub has suggested that for Mother's Day, you get your mom a Pornhub VR headset so as she might watch all of her pornographic videos in virtual reality comfort. Now, I know that you're immediately disgusted by the idea of your mom having... Well, actually, you know what? Women aren't. Women don't get weirded out about that stuff like guys do. Guys think it's the weirdest thing ever that their parents have had sexual intercourse. But I'm going to remind you that your parents have. Because if it wasn't for their inability to use birth control, you wouldn't be here. That's right. Your grandparents, same thing. Your grandparents got it on too. Every single person in the history of the world only exists because 2 people had physical relations. And I'm just going to warn you that not all the times they hooked up was it just to make babies. Sometimes it was just for sexual pleasure. Because no matter how old you get, it never stops being awesome. We find this picture funny. We find this picture amusing. But one day you're going to be old and droopy and gross and wrinkly, and you're still going to get boners, and you're still going to want to put them in things. So there you go. Old people being romantic. So maybe you should buy your mom a virtual reality porn headset from Pornhub for Mother's Day. It's a very forward kind of gift, you know? Saying, I've accepted that you two get it on. True story. Listen to this. This guy right here, he goes by the name of Jim Jeffries. Very funny guy. Very funny comedian. He's got a wonderful stand-up special on Netflix called Bear, where he does an absolute brilliant takedown of gun control laws and their lack thereof in the United States. Fantastic. On point about everything. But he starts off that special doing about 20 minutes on anal sex. My mother loves watching stand-up specials, and so when my parents were over, she's like, who's this Jim Jeffries guy? And I'm like, Mom, Jim Jeffries is hilarious. He's so funny. So my mom and my dad are in the room with me. I throw on Jim Jeffries' Bear. He starts off with 20 minutes talking about anal sex, and bear in mind, I'm pretty stoned, so it's really awkward, and I'm freaking out here. And my parents are dying laughing at all of his jokes about anal sex. All of them. They are laughing hysterically. And the worst part about it is, after one of the jokes, my mom goes, that's so true. I was disgusted. I would have rather my mom be mad at me for putting it on. But no. Clearly, my fantasy of my parents only engaging in missionary intercourse twice to conceive both myself and my sister has been clearly wrong. Let's talk about sexy. Let's move on to something very sexy. Steven mother-loving Seagal. Steven Seagal is no longer allowed to enter the country of Ukraine. And I got to credit my amazing producer for my podcast, Dila, about that Skull Issue Zero. You should watch it, really good. But Dila was the one who told me about this story. Steven Seagal being banned from entering the Ukraine because it's all because Steven Seagal's in super tight with Russia and he's in super tight with Vladimir Putin. And that's why he's not allowed in. And Steven Seagal, look at him. He looks like a joke of himself. He's like a parody of himself. And it's sad because there was a time when Steven Seagal was a great guy. Look at him there hanging out with a little puppy, having a good time. I'm serious when I say Steven Seagal did amazing things. Steven Seagal ran away from home when he was 17 years old. He hitchhiked his way to the coast, traveled on a plane across the ocean to go to Japan, showed up on the front step of an Aikido studio, and just begged and begged and begged to be there. And you know what they did? They let him come in, and they used him as the punching bag at the gym. And that's how he started learning how to do Aikido. And I'm dead serious when I say that. And he stayed, and he dedicated himself, and he studied, and he, like, worked hard for everything he got. Came back to the States, and he was teaching, like, Aikido to, like, actors and Hollywood producers and stuff in L.A., and it was a Hollywood producer in his Aikido class that was like, wow, this guy with his greasy ponytail and inability to talk at normal volume, this guy should be a star. And he launched his career. And he was actually the first martial artist to make a movie where he wasn't starting off as like the bad guy. Okay, he became the star. I want you to play one of the greatest lines in action movie history. No. Play the clip on the full screen. Do it full screen with the audio. Play the blood bank thing. This is
Money now and a lot more when I get in that office. I can take that to the bank.
I'm gonna take you to the bank, Senator Trent. To the blood bank.
Are we done? Was that not amazing? I'm gonna take you to the bank, Senator Trent. The blood bank. So good. And, okay, bring the camera in close to watch this. We're gonna watch a scene from one of the greatest movies ever called Hard to Kill. Uh-oh! Okay, hold on. By the way, first of all, she yells Mason. That's because in the movie his name is Mason Storm. Mason Storm could be the machoest, manliest name ever in movie history. But let's keep watching because it just gets better. Look at all these guys in their khakis and members-only jackets with guns. Oh! I gotta wonder though, when are like leather coats with elastic bands on the bottom, like the elastic band waist, when are those gonna come back into fashion? Because they were pretty great. Bring the camera back to me for a second. Okay, listen, this is why like hired thugs just aren't what they used to be. Oh, what the heck is going on? They saw them dive down, and none of the gunmen are shooting down. They're all shooting above. They are shooting where they are not, when they should be shooting where they know they are going to be. Let's get back here to the great movie. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. See, like they're just shooting above there. Why not shoot down? Just shoot down. Oh, was there swearing there? Oh, he's so good. Okay. This is my favorite scene. Look at this guy. Okay, he's literally just standing there holding a knife. Be like, I've got a knife. Okay, we'll watch this whole thing again so you can watch the brilliance of it. Watch. He's literally just walks up. Get the camera on me. He just walks up and holds the knife next to him. He walks up and holds the knife next to the guy he's supposed to kill. And he grabs his shoulder to be like, I'm here and I've got a knife now. Stab him in the stomach. Oh, so terrible. No wonder you got beat up. Oh, that didn't go in well. Okay, once again, this guy knows he's in the room. He knows he's in the room. And watch him come in, the way he falls. He's looking this way, but holding the gun the other way. Shoot! Oh. Whoa! That's not going to end well. All right, get ready for this, because this is where things are about to get real. Watch. Oh! Oh! That is Hard to Kill with Steven Seagal as Mason Storm. The premise of that movie is he's been in a coma for 7 years. And he remembers hearing somebody say, you can put that in the bank. And then he figures out that it was Senator Trent all along, when in his election campaign he says, you can put that in the bank. Hence, I'm going to take you to the bank, Senator Trent. The blood bank. Hard to Kill. Cinematic classic. By the way, that's Kelly LeBrock in the role as femme fatale, or woman in danger. Eventually goes on to marry Steven Seagal. Hard to Kill, by the way. There's another great line in that movie. Okay, we're on this one now. Another great line in that movie where he goes up to another guy. He's like, well, we're outgunned and we're outmanned, but we're gonna win. I don't know how, but we're gonna win. So good. Watch Hard to Kill with your family. It's a great family movie. So now, because of Steven Seagal and his love affair with Vladimir Putin, can no longer go to Ukraine and have wonderful kubasa and pierogies. By the way, I say kubasa. A lot of people here say kubasa, but everyone out in the prairies says kubasa. I'm just telling you. So if there's anybody out west who can back me up on that, because everyone here thinks I'm an idiot because I say kubasa. I also say coyote. So what can I do? Let's move on, shall we? I don't know how we're going to go. Where do you go after watching Mason Storm do what he does? We'll try. Okay, look at this guy. Just at work, so stressed out, not having a good time. Not having a good time at all. Because work is a tough place. There's a lot of stress. Some people's jobs makes them a little bit angry. They get angsty. They get anxiety. Some people get so frustrated they're on the point of violence. We've all been at work and seen things get really heated. You know? It happens. It happens here. High stress jobs. And this isn't even really that high stress of a job. There's some jobs where luckily I can have tea. Some jobs you can't even sit around and have a delicious cup of tea out of a Super Grover mug that your mother got you for Christmas 2 years ago. So I suggest, and the psychologists in the UK actually suggested this as well, a JO room at work for you to go and just vent your frustrations away. You know, just really get in there, reef away. I know that people might think that seems juvenile. And I'm not talking about just dudes, I'm talking about ladies as well. Because one night, this was 2 weeks ago actually, I got home from work, and my wife, I knew she was having a rough go because she was already 2 glasses of wine deep, and I had just gotten home. I was thinking, what have these animals been doing to you, babe? Because I'm talking about my kids because they're animals. I'm allowed to call them that. I made them with my junk so I can say things like that. But so I'm thinking, imagine if she could have just like gone upstairs, taken care of herself for like 15 minutes, come back down. The stress levels are gone, you know? The endorphins, they go up. So if you're having a rough day at work, if you could just go in there and crank one out, that's if you could just do it and not have anybody care. Like if I said, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give myself some cancer now. You'd be like, what? But we let people do that every day. How many people take like 20 minutes worth of their workday outside smoking? That's okay. But somebody going into a JO room and just giving her, there's so many expressions. The weirdest expression I've heard, one of my friends was like, yeah, my mom caught me weeding my carrot. What? She caught you what? Weeding my carrot, man. I don't even know what that means. You know, she caught me macking my cheese. That's actually a great term. I was just making some Katie mac and cheese, if you know what I mean. Anyways, imagine though, someone just goes and takes care of themselves. They come out. That's what you look. Look at how relaxed that guy looked. Copacetic, man. Copacetic. All the guys that actually worked with Alan Turing deciphering the Enigma code, they have like, there's written records of how some of them calculated how long they could go and how much more efficient they became based on the amount of time it had been since they last achieved orgasm. I'm not even joking. That's actual science. These are actual code breakers. Watch Imitation Game. It's a great movie, by the way. Let's move on to talk about this guy. Now we're going to get a little bit serious, a little bit dicey in terms of the content. Michael Anthony Taylor is an Australian businessman who flew from Sydney to LA. It was on a 9-hour flight, and he was in a very small seat next to a very large man. We've all been on airplanes when the seats are already super small, okay? I never put the seat back on the plane, ever. You know why I don't? Because I always get really annoyed when I'm sitting and someone puts the seat back in front of me, because the seat's like there, and then it goes down and it's like there, right in front of your face. It's so annoying. I can't even get my computer monitor open, and I'm a little dude. I'm only like 5'10". Imagine if you're tall. Show some consideration, people. But anyway, this guy, Michael Anthony Taylor, is stuck on a plane. He ends up with all kinds of back pain because the person that was sitting beside him was morbidly obese. And in his lawsuit, because bear in mind, he's suing the airline American Airlines, by the way. The person beside him was, and I quote, spilling over into his seat, and his legs were so large that they were spilling into his leg space, so he was stuck like this the entire flight because the guy was pushing him up against the side of the plane. He requested several times to move seats, but they said because the plane was full, there was no opportunity for him to move anywhere, no place for him to go. What's interesting about this lawsuit is, of course, he's saying that he suffered nerve damage in his spine. He's got medical records to prove all this, too. That he has suffered medical damage, like to his body, nerve damage in his spine, neck injuries, and hip injuries because of the position he was stuck in for 9 straight hours. At what point are we going to get to where you legally have to buy 2 seats if you're not big enough, if you're too big to fit into them? Like, when do we get there? And here's the thing. Like, if the airline had told the larger gentleman that they needed to sit in 2 seats, could that guy have sued the airline for discrimination? And so, should the lawsuits kind of shift, that the airline could say they suggested this guy get 2 seats, he charged them with discrimination or threatened them, and then they made him sit in 1, then they forced this guy to sit next to him, so his lawsuit kind of like goes on to the larger guy. Who is at fault here? Who's suing who? The fact is, here's the reason why we're never going to like have a clean and cut solution to these problems. Because nowadays, you can't say anything without hurting somebody's feelings. And when you hurt somebody's feelings, you're allowed to sue people. Ha ha, business. I have a really big sneaking suspicion and conspiracy theory about this. That the whole thing with like uber political correctness to the point it gets to lawsuits is actually being fueled by law, like civil law practitioners, because they're making loads of money off of stuff like this. American Airlines says the guy needed to get a bigger seat because he's really morbidly obese. He gets a lawyer. That lawyer makes money. This guy has to sit next to the really morbidly obese guy. He ends up getting crushed and takes damage. He gets a lawyer. His lawyer gets paid. American Airlines, they have a legal department to fight this. They get paid. You know who's winning here? Not the obese guy, who's going to suffer more self-esteem, eat because he hates himself because he eats. And then there's the guy who's stuck there with his spine damage. He's not winning. American Airlines, they're not winning. You know who's winning? The lawyers. The lawyers are winning. Sorry. One more. Let's talk about the Green Party in Austria. Namely about peeing in the Green Party in Austria. Apparently, women are being oppressed because they're forced to pee sitting down. It's a misogynistic, patriarchal act that makes women make inferior, and it's because men are the worst at everything. Especially cisgendered, heterosexual white men. They are just the worst. They have been for thousands of years making women pee sitting down. No more, thanks to the Green Party of Austria. They want all women to finally be able to stand up and pee like a man. Why? Peeing sitting down is literally the best. It's the best thing ever. I pee sitting down all the time. At night, when I gotta pee, I go into the bathroom and it's dark and I'm like, oh, I don't want to turn the light on. I sit down and I pee. It all goes in there. While dudes are standing up in front of the toilet trying to think about aiming and focusing, you know what I'm doing? I'm sitting down. I'm thinking. I'm checking my phone. I'm looking at stuff. I'm having a great time. Sometimes I'm taking selfies and going, ha, on the toilet. I'm solving the world's problems. I also sit in there and I read. I keep a vast collection of books in my bathroom all the time, and I read. I better myself. I educate myself. I contemplate. I think about my problems. And also, I always sit down when I pee because, oh, he's reading. I forgot about that picture. It's a really good one. I don't read the newspaper anymore. I read stuff on my phone. I think the thinker. That's what you should do in the bathroom. I was really getting to this picture because look at this woman, how much she's hating life. Like that is the, yeah, it's fine face. Yeah, no, it's fine. You can go out with your friends. It's fine. I've got everything under control. Look at me. That was my wife when I came home and she'd been drinking wine because these kids are animals and they're ruining her life. I did that with my junk. I made them. It's terrible. So I go into the bathroom and I sit down to pee and I just hope something else comes out because then I can make an excuse for being in there longer. Like, I don't know if you've seen the movie This Is 40 when Paul Rudd is like in the bathroom all the time. That is 100% true. It's so true. Happens every day. What are you doing?
My Nana had 7 kids and used to hide in the bathroom with books.
Absolutely. Madison's Nana had 7 kids and hid in the bathroom with books. I do that, and I've only got 2. So women of the world, if you want to pee standing up, go ahead. But the grass is always greener in the other urinal. Thank you. God bless.